What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to discuss Wes Hicks. I've actually seen a couple other people talk about this character, and I said a couple videos ago, my plan or my idea is I want to kind of break down a couple of the characters in this past movie, discuss, if they were done right or not. We talked about Vince, we even talked about Sydney. I wanted to talk specifically about Wes, though, because I feel like with him, I have the most conflicted thoughts of them all. I know I've seen a lot of people talk about how poorly written or just underdone, really, his character was. And to some degree, I agree completely. And to some degree, I think that he was just kind of a misused character. They could have done a lot more with him. So I want to kind of talk about that in this video. Well, number one, let me say this. What I think we did get from him, I actually really liked. Dylan Minnette is maybe, out of like the younger group and the new people brought in, I do believe he's my favorite, actor or actress, of that entire ilk. And even in terms of like talent level, Jenna Ortega obviously killed it. I thought she, we talked about how amazing she did. I think Dylan Minnette is just a really good actor. Like, I think he's a really amazing actor. So I'm in that way, I'm kind of disappointed, that there wasn't more done with him, because I just think he was killed off so quickly, and not quickly as in the sense of like Vince was killed off quickly, in the sense of like I thought he'd make it longer. Now that, and I've said this before, out of anything that the trailer got me to believe, right? The trailer, and we've talked about it before, I think spoiled a lot of things, and really I think set the framework for the movie. We could predict a lot of things in the movie from that trailer. But one thing I think even the TV spots and everything did after that is make Wes maybe the most mysterious character of that group, where there was a small little percentage of me that thought, okay, well, maybe he could be Ghostface. Again, I went into the movie thinking it was going to be Amber and Richie, and I was right, but I wanted it actually to be Wes, or at least I wanted Wes to be in the movie more, because I even said in a video leading into this film, it seems like Wes is only in a couple scenes, and then we see a lot of different, shots of this house party, and he's never there. So then the question would be, well, is he hiding? And then there was a rumor that was going on that they were trying to trick Ghostface into attending the party. It was like a thing that was spreading around. So like there were things that were making me believe, all right, well, maybe this is some sort of very smart marketing. In reality, there wasn't a lot of smarts in the marketing in terms of not spoiling things. And it was what it was. And obviously Wes died. Now, I think his death was pretty cool. Obviously pretty gory, pretty out there in terms of the kill. I like that he, kind of fought for his life. You did get a general sense of like, he's trying his best. He made a mistake. He made a couple mistakes in that kind of sequence, right? But he was really trying. You almost, at least I don't know about you guys, I almost believed that he could do it when he was kind of reaching right for the weapon. I was like, all right, he could maybe do it. But then at the same time, you see a Scream movie, and it's like, well, how often do you escape it? Especially if you're not the main character. Like Sam, when she gets attacked in the hospital, it's like, all right, well, that's not it's not a situation where she's going to die here, right? So there will be an escape. But for Wes, it's like, well, the odds are kind of stacked up against him that he's going to make it out of this, this situation alive. And remember, even in the original draft or the first script of this movie, the plan was that he was to get Judy's gun out of like a safe, and then the gun would be fought over, basically, and Richie would turn the gun on Wes because he overpowered him, and he would shoot Wes with the gun. I think there is a sense of coolness with that kill too, but I actually don't mind it. Unlike the Vince one, right? We've talked about Vince's alternate death, or the death in the first script. I think that one is miles better, and the situation kind of that was set up, I guess that led to it, I think it was miles better than what we actually got. Wes, I would take either or. I guess the thing with Wes is just, did they kind of waste that character, right? And that's where I was gonna say, like, I draw the line. I don't think that's the right terminology to be used, but I think that's where I agree when people go after his character in terms of bad writing or bad execution, or whatever angle people take. That's where I will jump on and agree with you 100%. The thing with it is this, and I actually mentioned this, I think, in a video or two ago, that actually does, more I think about it, make me kind of mad. So there's no indication whatsoever that Judy has a kid in 4, and I get it. she did. In fact, she had to have had Wes. Wes had to have been like a kid growing up in 4, never mentioned, yada yada yada, right? And you could say, well, maybe they took the character of Judy in the wrong direction, which maybe we can make a video on that. So you had that situation, right? And then you bring him in, and you're like, all right, well, this is very interesting because his name is Wes. He's Judy's son. He's been around for is there maybe like a mother-son team up? Because, obviously Judy was not like the cleanest of characters. People obviously suspected her throughout all of 4 and even going into 5. I mean, like, for her to be like the mastermind definitely would have been, a shocker and would have made the movie entirely different. And it, I don't think it really would have made sense to do that, but it was still a cool possibility that could happen. So you had that dynamic. You just had all this stuff you could have done with him just off the hop. Okay, then you had kind of his behind the scenes stuff. The idea that he likes Tara, right? And that relationship that was never, and again, you get a little more of that in the first script. And I think there were even rumors leading into the movie that there was maybe a breakup, that, she broke up with Amber, but maybe at some point she was also dating Wes. And then we find out in the movie, like, there is something there. And there's actually something that I think could be really cool, where it's like he likes her a lot and nobody's kind of rooting for, well, I guess not necessarily nobody, but like Amber is obviously like violently against the idea that he should be with Tara, which makes sense considering her motive. And also, again, like, while the movie didn't indicate it, the first script indicated, right, that they were dating, that they loved each other. So, in the movie, I think was a little reluctant to go with it, but I think you could still kind of sense it from time to time, right? So, and I think that dynamic was really, really cool. The issue is Wes spent, 10 seconds with Tara? Maybe 20? Like, there just wasn't anything there. So while I like the idea that it's like a girl, in fact, it's not Randy to Sydney, but it's in the same, you know what I mean? And I think there's actually something kind of special and kind of tragic. I was going to say sad. I think tragic's probably the better word, right? Where it's like she's the girl he can't get, but he loves her. He cares about her. He'll do whatever it takes to protect her. And you have that kind of dynamic playing out. Plus, he's also the sheriff's son. He's very smart. So while, like, the movie had too many Randys is also something that I've noticed as time has gone on, and I've really started to, like, deep dive into things. The movie has too many, which is almost weird, right? The movie has too many smart people, but the movie has too many people, like, aware of the situation. Like, Sydney has always been aware, but they're always delivered in really classic one-liners, right? Gail is kind of aware, Dewey's somewhat, but not necessarily, right? And then you'd have, like, one other person. You'd have, like, a Randy-esque character. But and I guess from time to time, maybe you could have other people, like a Jill or something, or maybe like a Charlie, right? So you could, here and there. But in this movie, Wes knew what was going on. It's tough, right? Because you had, like, Mindy literally being the Randy, like, explaining the rules and all that stuff. Wes was more of, like, a practical kind of guy, right? Where he was saying the things that, not necessarily explaining the rules of what a requel is and all that stuff. But, in terms of what to do with technology, right? He had that talk with them, in the beginning of the movie, or, having, like, a weapon on him basically at all times, right? Like, he was very practically smart. So you had that too. That was just honestly kind of wasted, considering at the worst possible, at the worst time for him to not have the weapon on him is when he got attacked. So it's tough because I guess where I'm at is this. They really, in the times that we saw him, I think Dylan Minnette carried it. I don't really even know if the writing or the situation carried it. I think Dylan Minnette carried it. I think his character was good in the scenes that we got. I think there was a lot of potential given in the scenes that we got. But ultimately, and tragically, he was basically used to honor Wes Craven. And I don't know if that was the right move. It's probably something we could have seen coming. It's probably something that we did at some point theorize or say. But I just feel like it was kind of, you introduced this character that is a real character. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, like, he was kind of played off just to exist, just to then die, to then throw a party for him, right? That's boiled down. But at the core, he is a character. Again, he has relationships with these people. He has a relationship with Sam, right? She was his babysitter, like all this stuff. Like there's a connection there. And then, you have all of that, and you have a practical guy, and you have somebody who's the son of the sheriff, and a returning character, and he just gets killed. And he gets killed again. Well, I guess all of them kind of get killed, but he specifically gets killed so that they can throw a honoring party for him for Wes, which is cool. But at the same time, like, if you really break it down, well, it's weird, right? Because if you really break it down, they're saying for Wes, they're saying it to Wes Craven. But then, like, in the movie, they're throwing that party specifically for him. They liked him that much to do all that stuff. So it's just odd. But then it was so blatantly for Wes Craven, like so obviously for him. Everybody knew it. The people sang for Wes in the clip were literally like OG cast, you know what I mean? Like they brought back legacy, alumni, and it's like, so it's not even for him. It's not even for Dylan Minette's character, Wes Hicks. So it's tough. So from that angle, I would say he was a complete waste. He was there. His purpose in this movie was to die, to then throw a party for him. That was his entire, well, let me actually add on to that. His whole purpose was to be a character, to then die, to throw a party, to not honor him, but to honor the former director. That was his, which is like, I don't know how to really feel about that, because I also feel there was a lot of good there. It's just they didn't kind of go all the way, and the reason they didn't go all the way is that really, those were kind of like smoke and mirrors. They didn't actually plan on doing anything, with any of that. That wasn't the point. So that kind of leaves us like in a limbo where it's like, well, how am I supposed to actually feel about that? So let me know what you guys think about Wes as a character. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow me anywhere else, all of my social media is in the description below, along with our Patreon and YouTube memberships. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.